Alright, so we have the flange finished. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to build the housing. If I go to my side view right here, right, let me get out of X-ray mode. 5. And here's our housing. This is the shape of the housing. Housing is a very interesting shape. It has a rectangular cube on the top, as you can see right here. But as we go down, right, to the axis of our flange, notice that in the front view it looks like a rectangle, but here we're going to have a double taper. It's going to be a rectangle sideways, but then when we get to this point right here, it's going to taper. So the best way to attack this shape right here is I'm going to create a cube. I'm going to hit R for scale, and I'm going to scale it so it matches the width on the side view. I'm going to lower my box down to this point right here. That's where it starts tapering towards the bottom. I don't care about the top because I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to go to my front view. I'm going to select the bottom face. Even though these guys are selected, I'm going to hold the control key and deselect the top. And I'm going to use my modeling toolkit. I'm going to go to extrude. And I'm going to move this guy down here. Right, I'm not worried about the width yet. I'm going to change the width right now. I just want to get the height from the side view, as you can see right here. Let me go to X-ray, which is this button right here, to the right of the isolate selected. And I'm going to do that one more time so I can get the bottom of the casing. So I'm going to hit G to repeat last operation, and I'm going to drop it right here. Okay, now I can select my scale. I can go to the front view, and I'm going to hit R for scale and expand it. So notice that we're going to get this part here to taper and to meet our flange, right? So I can do that right now. I can select the vertices of this box and scale them until it meets the shaft. All right, let me go to my 3/4 view, and look at that. It's right there. I'm going to take advantage of this edge right here. Okay. So I'm going to fix the now side taper. And to do this, I'm going to use a lattice. The lattice will be under the form lattice. I'm going to reset it, make sure that everything is set to 2. I'm going to hit create. And I'm going to deform the vertices that I had selected. So now what I need to do, I need to go to component mode, and selecting the component mode of a lattice is kind of tricky. All right. So the best thing to do is to go to the 3/4 view. Okay. So I'm going to select the bottom 4, these guys right here. And on my side panel, I'm going to taper both sections right here. So this one and this one. So again, it looks like a rectangle all the way down to the middle of our shaft. But if I go to the side, notice that it tapers all the way to the bottom. So to get rid of the lattice, I'm going to go right mouse button, select my object, and I'm going to delete the history. That's how you get rid of the lattice. And let me delete half of this. The object mode, I'm going to use the multicut tool. And I really don't care to hit the middle 100%. Again, that is because I'm gonna snap it. So I'm gonna select these vertices right here, move tool, I'm gonna drag it, and then I'm gonna hold V for point, and then I'm gonna middle mouse drag to a place that I know there is a point. It doesn't have to be from the same geometry. It can be any other geometry. So I'm gonna use a flange. So I'm gonna go V, middle mouse drag, right there. Okay, so I have half of my piece. Let me go to object mode. Now, let me fix this edge right here so that it matches this edge right here, right? We're going to take advantage of that. So I'm going to select this face. I'm going to move it up, and I'm going to do the snap to point trick. Hold V, and then middle drag it to this point. And now I'm going to select this edge like this, and I'm going to move it in the X axis, and then I'm going to hold V and snap it to this point right here. All right, so now these two edges are in the same place. I'm gonna go to object mode, right mouse button, select my shape. I'm gonna double check, make sure that it fits my image planes. These look really good. And this half looks really good and matches the drawing. Notice that it goes right here and it's gonna melt, all right, with the shaft. So again, select all the edges, all right, and we're gonna go to bevel, and let's control our bevel thickness by moving our fraction. So I'm gonna make a smaller fraction like this. I don't wanna get too complicated, especially in this corner right here, right? Because I'm gonna have to merge these edges, and I'm gonna give it a couple of segments, 1 and 2, okay? And I'm gonna make my fraction a little bit bigger, like so. All right, I'm not gonna delete the history, so I'm gonna go to object mode. I'm gonna get rid of my wireframe unshaded, and I'm gonna see if I like this bevel or not. All right, I'm gonna go and look at my reference to see if this bevel is close to our reference images. Let me select these edges right here. And when you select these edges, we can soften our edges. You will notice that some of these edges are sharp, like for example right here, versus these edges right here. So all you gotta do is select the edges, and we're gonna go shift, right mouse button, and we're gonna go to soften, harden edges, and I'm gonna select soften edges, and there you have it. Look at the difference right here. Now all our edges are softened. Now I've noticed in my reference, here is our reference. I'm gonna zoom in and I'm gonna look at the bevel that I have right here, okay? And I'm gonna compare it to the one that I have in Maya. All right, I'm gonna try to pose this valve and compare it to the one that I have. And that looks pretty decent. I think I got the right bevel width. Perfect. All right, so what we need to do now is we need to combine these two shapes. And as you notice right here, right, I have all sorts of geometry and all sorts of edges going everywhere. Now, the rule is that we do not want to alter these planes. I want to keep these planes the way they are, because when I hit 3, I'm going to get a smoothness that is going to propagate to this flange right here. Now, look what happens if we add edges in this direction, going along with these edges right here, right? If I select this, for example, and I go shift, right mouse button, insert edge loop tool, and I start putting a bunch of edges right here. When I hit 3 for smooth preview, notice that our planes will flatten, right? And that is because we are actually creating a fencing, all right, just like what we did for the edges, okay? So we don't want to put extra edges going in this direction. However, we can put as many edges as we want going in this direction right here. Let me undo a couple of times. And let me apply the insert edge loop tool to this direction, and you will notice that nothing will happen. Okay, we will not get any flattening whatsoever. Okay, so I overdid it. I put a bunch of edges just to prove my point, and I'm going to hit 3. I think this edge right here is extra. I'm not sure. Yeah, because this doesn't look right at all. With the Q, which is the selection tool, I'm going to double click this edge, shift right mouse button, delete edges. Do not hit delete, because you will leave a bunch of little orphan vertices. So notice when I hit 3 that the shaft is perfectly smooth. However, we have a bunch of edges right here, and they do not alter the smoothness of our planes. They will do it going in this direction, but not in this direction. And let's talk about combining these two pieces. So the plan of attack is as follows. I'm going to turn on my wireframe unshaded. Now this is fine. I can extend an edge right here. I can also extend an edge going in this direction, and I can extend an edge going in this direction. These guys right here are going to be what I weld, right? And I'm going to cut this in half because we don't need to work on this half. Remember, we're going to work on a quarter. And what I can do is I can continue these edges all the way down this way right here. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to select this object, and a really fast way of cutting this object in half is pretty much just going to your side view. All right, I'm going to select these faces, delete them. I don't need these. And I'm gonna select this object, select my multi-cut tool, and then click outside of the object, hold shift so you can get a straight line, and then drag it past the object, and it will do a clean cut. I'm gonna select these faces, delete. Excellent. All right, so let's start combining these two pieces. The very first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of these edge loops on the flange. I'm gonna double click on this edge, and I'm gonna go shift right mouse button, delete edges. Let me go to 1, double click on this edge right here, hit G. G stands for repeat last operation, and the last operation was delete edges. So double click here, G, double click in the inside of the shaft, G, double click here, G, and double click here, G. Okay, so we wanna move these vertices right here to the point that they lay right flat on this face of our housing unit. So the best thing to do this will be to use, again, our lattice. I'm going to correct this edge right here. I'm not really thrilled with this edge. Now, I cannot use my vertices snap with the V key to this right here because it's going to alter my volume. However, I can use our friend the multi-cut tool, and I can clean these edges right here. So I can do this, and then do another one right here, and then do another one right here. I'm putting it next to the other ones because the other ones are all crooked, all right? And I rather have these very straight. So hit Q, double click on this edge right here. All right. Shift, double click this one. All right, shift, double click this one, shift, double click this one, and then shift, right mouse button, delete edges. And notice that we have not altered this corner, okay? However, these lines are straight. Let me go and hide the flange real quick. I just want to see these vertices right here, either giving me a problem or not. Now, notice that I'm not getting a really nice curve on my bevel. That is because it was a very odd shape to bevel, right? So I'm going to eyeball this. I'm going to move these vertices right here so I can follow this curve. Okay. And let me select these guys and move them in. Okay, there's an issue right here. I have a triangle, but this doesn't matter because this piece is going to be deleted. All these faces right here are going to be deleted because our shaft is going to connect right here. Okay, so I'm going to go to the front, and this edge right here will meet this edge of the flange. So I can select these faces, delete them. I'm going to select all of these guys right here, delete them. And I'm going to move this edge so that it matches this corner. Now, one way that we can do this is that we can select vertices. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pivot point for all these vertices right on this one right here. So I'm going to hit D, V, middle mouse button, drag it, and then hit D again. And I'm using the move tool, so I want to make sure that the spacing is kept. Okay, I don't want to move these guys on the X direction and have all of my vertices align on this edge. So I'm going to hold V for the move tool. With my left mouse button, I'm going to click, and I'm going to select keep spacing. Okay, so now what I can do, I can move this to the left, hit V, and middle mouse align it to this point right here, and then I'm going to do it on the Y direction, move it, V, middle mouse, snap it. All right, and there you have it. Okay, so I know that this edge right here, it's aligned with this edge. I can double check by selecting, by going to object mode, edges. I'm gonna double click on this outer edge, and with my move tool, there you have it, right? Perfect alignment. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that this edge right here that I have selected, it's flat with this face, these faces right here. Okay, so the way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to select my vertices, and I'm going to use the lattice again. So I'm going to click on the lattice. All right, so now I'm going to go to right mouse button, lattice points, and I'm going to move this guy right here. I'm going to go to my side view, hit F to find those points, and I'm going to zoom in as much as I can. Again, all the way down to a subatomic level. Right there. I'm going to hit F again. Now, there's a really cool trick in Maya. As soon as I move this right here, okay, if I want to align it to, let's say, to this point right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a movement in the direction that I want this to move. So in this case, it's going to be on the Z axis. And then I'm going to zoom in as much as I can to this edge. And with my middle mouse button, I don't have to grab the handle anymore, because the middle mouse button is going to allow me to repeat the last transformation. So this works really good with the scale tool and the move tool and the rotate tool. So again, you make one movement, right? And then you can be anywhere around here. Move your camera, zoom in, and then use the middle mouse button to repeat this operation, right? I can go right here, middle mouse button, undo. Perfect. Okay, so I have this aligned correctly. I'm also noticing that this piece right here has expanded. All right, that is due to the beveling operation. So again, let's get rid of this lattice by selecting this object and deleting the history. And I'm going to do the same thing with these vertices right here. I'm going to select this object, vertex, select these guys, go to the form lattice, and now I'm going to go right mouse button, lattice point. And what I want to do is I want to move the bottom ones like so, but only this group right here, only this side. So I'm going to do a movement. I'm going to zoom in as much as I can, and then I'm going to use my middle mouse button right there. Perfect. Okay, select this object, delete history, and as you can see, let me go to the 3/4 view so you can see it. Our lattice will disappear. Okay, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create an extrusion out of this edge on the flange. Okay, out of this edge, I'm going to extrude this edge in such a way that it goes along with this plane right here, and we're going to use the scale tool trick, and then I'm going to combine that edge with this piece right here, so I can use this edge again to create a bevel. Okay, so if we go back to Photoshop and look at our references, pretty much what we're doing, we're creating this connection right here. Okay, notice that this box will merge right here, but here we have a bevel. Okay, so let's do that real quick. I'm going to select this edge, and I'm going to go shift right mouse button, extrude edges, or I can use my modeling toolkit and do an extrusion. So if I was to use the default local translate Z, remember every time you make an extrusion, Maya uses the Z movement, okay? And it doesn't have to be in the Z axis, but your gizmo will have an X, Y, and Z transform, and you will see it right here in the polyextrude gizmo. So if I go translate Z, notice that my extrusion is not going along this plane. What we have to do for that, undo, and we know that we just made an extrusion, so there is an edge loop on top of an edge loop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit R for the scale tool, and I'm going to do a global scale from the middle. Okay, and when I do that, notice that our edge is going along with that plane. If I go to my side, you can see that. And again, I just made that transformation, so I'm going to keep doing it with my middle mouse button. And as you can see, that edge is riding on this face. This is exactly what we wanted. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to support these edges just like what we have right here. So for that, what we're going to use, we are going to use, let me get out of X-ray mode so this is more obvious. We are going to use our insert edge loop tool. So I'm going to go right mouse button edge. I'm going to select one of my edges with the selection tool. Okay, and then I'm going to go shift right mouse button insert edge loop tool. I'm going to go to the options. Okay, here are the options, because what I want to do, I want to reset this tool, and we're going to select multiple edge loops. So when I select multiple edge loops, as long as you have the use equal multiplier, what the tool is going to do is going to insert edge loops, and it's going to space them depending on the number of edge loops that you have selected. So if I have 2 and I click right here, notice that I cannot go left and right as we can when we have it under relative distance from edge, but it's going to give us evenly spaced edge loops, and that is exactly what we want. I want evenly spaced edge loops, but instead of 2, let me undo, I'm going to type in 3, hit enter, and this is what you get. The reason why I picked 3, it's because I know I'm going to get a middle edge loop. Once we build the edge for the right hand side so that it matches the same distance as this, and then we reinforce it, I'm going to get rid of this edge loop here and here. So let me show you the standard way of using the edge loop tool, which is this one right here, relative distance. And this one allows us to create an edge loop and move left and right like this. So let me move this one a little bit closer. It takes in consideration the distance of these edges right here based on the sliding procedure or based on the multiple edge loops with the use equal multiplier. Now the only problem with that is that the newly created edge loops are going to be tighter on the top and wider at the bottom, and that is because the bottom part of the shaft is wider because of our angle right here. So in order to have 2 equal sides, what I should have done is I should have taken this edge right here, and before I extruded this, I should have moved it right here in the side view the same distance as this edge to this edge, so somewhere right here, and then extruded the flange, okay, this piece right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Q, select this edge. Okay, I can quickly convert from edges to faces. We can go right here to select, convert selection to faces, and then I can hit delete. And now I'm going to select this edge, double click on this edge, extrude it, right? I'm just going to hit W for the move tool. I'm just going to move it once. Now I have a point right here that if I was to snap my pivot point to the newly created edge and then go back to pivot point, because I have my, I'm going to hold the W, left mouse button, keep spacing selected, right? As soon as I move this, and let me zoom in, and hold the V key and middle mouse select this point right here, notice if I go to my side that we have snapped this edge right to those faces. Okay, so now I can create that extrusion that we had to create the little flange. So I'm going to go to extrude, and I'm going to hit R to go to the scale tool, and I'm going to do a general scale like so, and let me close this and double click Q, double click on this edge, pull it towards the back. So I'm going to go right here like so. All right, and Q, double click this edge, bevel, and let's do this again, middle mouse, and here we go. See, we want to match it to this bevel right here. Okay, so once I get it close enough, like, right, so I think it's going to be something like 0.86, and there you have it. So I'm not going to delete the history. I'm going to stay here, and we need another segment, so I'm going to increase my segments to 2. Boom, there you have it. So now this bevel here and this bevel here match, and I'm not too worried about this because I am going to blend these 2 guys together. And I'm going to start by now hitting Q, cutting this piece from the flange, and I'm gonna hide the flange so we can work in this direction without having the flange impeding our visibility. And first, let me double click on this edge and let me move it to this side right here. All right, and we want to make sure that the distance is the same as in the opposite side. And now I'm going to select with the Q one of my edges, shift right mouse button, and I'm going to build some support. Insert edge loop tool, options, and I'm going to go to use equal multiplier, multiple edge loops, type 3, close this, and just click once, and perfect. So I'm going to cut everything from here, okay, using the lasso. I'm going to go to my faces and select all these faces right here. Okay, I'm going to double check in my 3/4 view perspective camera. And now we're going to go to edit mesh, extract, and Maya is going to create 2 pieces of geometry. I'm going to go right mouse button, select both pieces right here, and delete my history. Now if I go to my outliner, notice that this is part of this group right here, and because I have it on the layer, if I close the layer to hide the front of the flange, it's gonna also hide the newly created part. So what we need to do is we need to go to the outliner, hit F, find the newly created piece, which is this one, middle mouse drag it out, and now notice what happens when I close the visibility of this layer. Okay, fantastic. All right, so let's delete half of this. We don't need to work with this half, and let's start combining these 2 pieces together. Okay, so number 1, I'm going to go to my front view right here. Actually, let me close. There we go. Right mouse button, edge, shift right mouse button, insert edge loop tool, options, and let's reset this tool. Perfect. And I'm going to manually insert an edge loop right there. Okay, and I notice that I'm going to have a quad once I delete this part right here. And we want another one that goes from here to the top. So I'm going to click on this edge right there. And that will make a quad out of this. And once I cut this guy, I will have a quad right here. For this, I'm going to use the multi-cut tool. So select the multi-cut tool. And I'm going to go from the outside of the object across, back to the outside of the object. Hold the shift key so you will snap your cut like so. I'm going to use a really cool tool in Maya to slide this edge while preserving right here my volume. I'm going to hit Q, double click on this edge, and let me zoom in to in the front view right here. And notice that if you go shift right mouse button, slide edge tool, and I'm going to do a drag with the middle mouse button as the instruction tells me, and I'm going to move this guy right there. Okay, so this is not a big deal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to snap this edge right here, this vertex for the flange right here. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to hold W for move, V, middle mouse button, and then snap it to this point. Okay, now we can start welding the top part of this housing unit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these faces right here, right mouse button, select these faces, and then delete them. And now I'm going to move these vertices right here up to this edge and to this corner. So right mouse button, vertex, and I'm going to hold V, middle mouse button, snap it here, V, middle mouse button, snap it there. And notice that we are beginning to combine these 2 shapes. So I can go to object mode, right, and turn this into an object and start cutting things around. Okay, so piece of cake. So let me go to my modeling toolkit. I'm going to go to combine. I'm going to turn on the border edges so you can see what's going on. So what do we need to do next? Select these 2 vertices, shift right mouse button, merge vertices to center. Now for the next one, I'm just going to hit G, which is repeat last operation. G, repeat last operation. Okay, so let's start cutting things here and combining them. So notice that I have this plane. I'm going to leave this face the way it is, but I'm going to move this vertex right here down to this edge. And the way that I'm going to do this is using my scale tool. I'm going to hit R, and I'm going to hit D to disengage the pivot point, and then I'm going to hold the V tool and I'm going to drag it right here and re-engage it. Now when I scale, I'm going to scale this point right here so that it goes towards this other point right here that I know is on the same plane as this face right here. I can go sideways, hit F to find it, and because we have the border edges, let me hide it. There's my point, my vertex. So notice that, you know, when I go middle mouse button, that it is moving towards this point right here. So I'm going to take advantage of this, and I'm going to move it in a little bit more right here because I want to create a quad right here. Okay. And then we're going to deal with these guys right here. Okay, so I have this right here. Perfect. So I'm going to select this face right here. I'm going to delete this face. Okay. And I'm going to select this vertex, W, V, for snap to point, middle mouse drag it to that point right there, and I can weld these two guys right here. Let me bring my border edges so you can see what I'm talking about. Select these two guys, and I'm going to go shift right mouse button, merge vertices to center, right? I'm going to go and you see what I'm getting so far. Let me get out of the wireframe unshaded, hit 3. Beautiful, right? We're getting a really good blending right here. Now we're just gonna have to fold these edges right here. Okay. And what I'm going to do, I know here at the bottom, right, these faces are going to be flat. So I can select these faces right here, delete them. Okay. And from the support edge on the right hand side, I can extrude. So I'm going to select these edges, select this edge, shift, select this edge, and I'm going to go to extrude, hit it once, and then hit W. And this is what we're going to get right here. Okay, so let me do a W, deselect, keep spacing, move this, V, middle mouse, drag this point right here so I can snap this edge. Okay, fantastic. I'm going to select this edges right here, and I'm going to go shift, right mouse button, soften, harden edges, soften edges. There we go. Okay, so let's go back to our perspective view and see what we got here. Let's bring up the wireframe unshaded. So you can see exactly what we're going to do. We are going to fold these right here, okay, so that they go along with this. And this face right here, I select this face. I can delete this face. Hit Q, delete. Okay, I'm not too worried about what's going on in there. I'm going to fill that hole. But first, what I need to do is I need to put an edge that wraps around here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the multi-cut tool, believe it or not. Let me get rid of that bevel edge. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to use my multi-cut tool so I can get a quad. So the way that I can do this is I can click on these vertex right here, and then I can go to this edge right here. Okay, and I'm going to try to hold it right there. Perfect. Hit enter, hit Q, and okay, this is not a problem, right? I can hit Y for last tool use, click from here to here, hit enter, Q, right mouse button vertex, and I'm going to move this guy down. I know that this is a straight line, so I'm going to hold V, middle mouse button, snap it here. Perfect. Now, the problem that we're having right here is that we have a triangle, right? So let me select this face, right? I'm going to delete this face. And the other thing that I can see, especially in my references, is that this corner right here is very sharp compared to these corners right here. So I know that what I have right here may not be exactly what I want, may not be representative of the type of bevel that I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my front view, and let me bring up my image plane real quick. I want to see where that bend occurs. Okay, so that bend occurs right here. So let me go to object mode, hit 3. So the bend occurs right here. So in theory, I could have this edge right here. Let me deselect the other ones by holding Control. I could have this edge down here, right? And then continue straight down in this direction to match that edge, right? And then re-bevel that. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go right here, right? I'm gonna select these faces and I'm going to delete them. I'm going to select this edge right here, these vertices right here, and I'm gonna move them down. Okay, so I'm going to now snap these points right here. So let me move this guy here, this guy here, this guy here, and then these group, I'm gonna snap them right here. I'm gonna go to my side view, and this guy just needs to be snapped right here. Okay. I'm gonna hit 4, and now I'm gonna move them back. Make sure that W keeps spacing, and I'm gonna snap my pivot point right here. Hit D again. I'm gonna first move it, zoom in, middle mouse drag, or use the handle, and perfect. Excellent. All right, let's see what's going on in here. Well, I know I'm not going to use these faces. Hit Q, right mouse button, face, delete, delete, so I can see what's going on. These guys are curved. I don't want them. All right, fantastic. So if I could take this edge right here, okay, if I could take this edge right here, let me make sure that those vertices are welded. That was my fear. Let me select these guys. Let me go to Shift, right mouse button, Merge Vertices to center. Select this guy's G, 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 and G. And I'm going to delete this guys. Okay. Q, select this edges. Shift, right mouse button, delete edge. Okay, fantastic. So I get a straight line. Let me double check in the front view. Beautiful. All right. If I can select this edge right here, okay, double click this edge and rotate it like so, right? Okay. So that it aims to this point right here, I could connect this lip right here to it, right? And I would solve my whole turn issue. So let's do that. I'm not going to use the rotation. I'm going to use my vertices. So I'm going to go to select, convert selection to vertices. And let's bring back our lattice. I have to go to a 3/4 view or perspective view to be able to put my mouse on top of the lattice and select my lattice points. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to select these guys right here, and I'm going to use the move tool. This way, I won't lose my edges, because before when I was rotating it, notice that the edge was shrinking, right? So let's do it again. Let's move this up right here, and I'm just going to eyeball it, all right? You cannot see that on the screen, but I'm using a piece of paper on top of my computer screen, and I'm going from this point right here, all right, and I'm putting the other part of the paper right here so I can create a visual line, and then I can move this guy down, all right, right there. Perfect. Okay, so again, select the object, delete the history, and there goes the lattice. Now all I have to do is select this vertex right here, move it up, hold V, snap it to that point, move it now in this direction right here, hold V, perfect. Okay, I'm going to leave this guy the way it is. I know I have a triangle right here, it's not a big deal. I'm going to modify this edge. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have right here. Okay, fantastic. Now something happened right here. I'm going to go to my side and I'm going to see what's going on. And as you can see, all right, these edges got shrunken in. One cool trick that you can do with lattices is that you can use lattices to align things that are not aligned. Now this right here, to me, from this point and this point, they look like they are in the same plane. However, this point is not. So I'm going to select those 3 points. I'm going to go to my deform lattice. Now, this is a really cool trick. I'm going to go to my lattice points. I'm going to move this point right here, V, snap it to this side, and then I'm going to select this point right here, V, snap it to this side, and now look what happens to my edge. It got aligned. Okay? I'm going to select this, delete history. I'm going to do it for the next row. Select vertex. I'm going to select this guy, and now this guy. Bring up a lattice. Do the same trick again. Okay? I'm doing this from one camera view. In this case, the right view. Okay? You cannot do this from any other angle to align this alignment right here. So delete history again. And let's do that for the last group, which is this guy, and this guy. Lattice, deform lattice, right mouse button, lattice point, like so. Delete history, and I'm just gonna do it for this edge right here, just to be safe. Select this guy, and this guy. Deform lattice, right mouse button. I'm gonna bring this guy right here. I'm doing a move, V, middle mouse button. Perfect. And let's delete our history. And notice that these edges are correct now. So the problem's got to be with this guy right here. So I'm going to select this vertex right here, move it, and snap it right here. Perfect. Let me put this vertex in the middle. So I'm going to select this guy right here, and I'm going to use the scale tool, R. Move my pivot point to this vertex by holding V, middle mouse drag, hit D again, and I'm going to put this vertex in the middle of these 2 guys right here. Okay, and I could select this edges and go fill hole, which is on shift, right mouse button, fill hole. But because my bottom vertices are not welded and then I have another hole, I know I'm going to get a bad result. The best way of fixing this is to do a quick and dirty extrude. So I'm going to go shift, right mouse button, extrude. Now look at this. I'm going to move my extrusion right here. I'm going to select this vertex, move this guy right here, and then I'm going to move this guy right here. Okay, let me show you what it looks like with the border edges. Select these 2, shift, right mouse button, merge vertices to center, G and G, and we took care of this quad right here. Fantastic. So what's going to happen with this piece right here is that what we want to do is we want to make sure that these guys right here are aligned to these vertices right here and then right here. Okay, this is bad right here, so I'm going to fix this. It looks like I deleted this edge by mistake, no big deal. So let me select this face, let me delete it, quickly select this edge, shift select this edge, shift right mouse button extrude edge, W for move. Let me go to 1, and I'm going to move it, D, V, middle mouse button, D again. I want to make sure that my keep spacing is correct. Perfect. And I'm going to snap it here. I'm going to hit G again, W, and I'm going to go right here. Okay. If you see what I'm about to do, we're going to make a face with this guy right here, like so. Okay. And then we're going to extrude it again so we can have another face right here. So G, W, right there. Okay. I'm not too worried about aligning everything yet. However, I'm going to select these vertices right here. Okay. These guys right here. Because these guys have to be straight with this line right here. This is where this piece is beginning to blend in. So I'm going to do a W, left mouse button, deselect, keep spacing. So when I move this in this direction and hold V and middle mouse button right here, okay, now they're aligned in the X axis. So now I have to align it in the Y axis. So move, V, middle mouse button, and there you have it. Okay. Now remember I did this extrusion right here, this edge. So I'm going to select this edge, shift select this edge, W, keep the spacing, move it out of the way so I can select this vertex right here as my new pivot point. So D, V, middle mouse button right here, D. Now move it and snap it to this point. Excellent. So I'll be able to select these two guys, weld them, fill this hole by extruding edges and connecting them together, and then scaling everything. All right, so we can follow that edge right there. Okay, this edge right here. Okay, so let's do that. Let me select this edge right here, and let's do the modeling toolkit, extrude, W. Okay, just quick and dirty. And now I'm gonna use a new tool, okay, which is called the target weld. The way that the target weld works is that you select one of your points. Let me get rid of the bevel. Make sure that you select vertices, and you're gonna go from here to here. Perfect. And for this one, I am going to do a movement V, middle mouse, drag it here, and I'm going to weld those two vertices to the center. So now I have this edge right here. Okay, I'm going to extrude this edge, select this edge, extrude edge, quick and dirty extrude. Okay, and I'm gonna select this vertex right here. V, middle mouse, drag it here. Select this guy, V, middle mouse, drag it here. Okay, let's weld those vertices together. Shift, right mouse button, merge vertices. Okay, perfect. Now our objective is gonna have to be to shrink this, okay, 4 guys right here. So I'm gonna scale them based on this pivot point right here. So I'm gonna hit R, D, V, middle mouse drag right here, D again. So I'm gonna scale it in the X direction, okay? And what I'm doing is I'm gonna shrink it to the point that this point right here meets that edge. So I have to go to the front view, hit F to find it, okay? And I'm gonna do it one more time, and then I'm gonna go in the Y, like so. Okay, and I wanna see what it looks like in the 3/4 view. Fantastic. Now it is time to cut this faces right here, these guys right here. Okay, so I'm gonna select these faces from here, 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 and I'm gonna insert an edge loop that comes close to this edge right here. Okay, so select this edge, shift right mouse button, and I'm gonna go to my insert edge loop tool, and I'm gonna click and drag. Okay, and there you have it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the same scaling from the front view that I was doing before, okay, but from this pivot point right here, okay, because this is flat. So R, D, V, middle mouse button, back to D. And here we're gonna do a combination. We're gonna go on the X, and then we're gonna go on the Y. We're gonna go on the X, and then we're gonna go on the Y until these 2 points right here meet. Okay? I'm gonna go to my front view, okay, right here. And okay, I'm gonna go like this, and then I'm gonna drop it down right there. Okay, and I can tell that these guys right here, not the guys that I have selected because I aligned those with my lattice, these guys right here are not correct. So I'm gonna select these guys, okay, and I'm gonna do the same trick. Select this guy right here, shift select this guy right here, select the end, and then select this, and I'm gonna go to my lattice, right mouse button, lattice point, move tool, snap it there, and then go to the top, snap it in the opposite direction. Aha, I solved the problem. Okay, however, I'm noticing that this edge right here is not right. No big deal. Select the object, delete the history, and I'm gonna tweak my vertices by selecting my edge first. Let's see how far down it goes. Okay, and then I'm gonna select, whoops, I'm gonna select this edge and this edge and this edge. So I'm going to convert this into vertices, and I'm gonna align it from this vertex right here up to the vertex on the top. Okay, lattice, deform lattice, right mouse button, lattice point, move this guy right here. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same thing at the bottom. Move this guy right here. And look at that. I've corrected this edge. Okay, now I'm going to correct this other side again. So let me delete my history. So vertex, and I'm gonna select this guy right here, Q, and I'm gonna go all the way to the top just to be sure. This guy, this guy, this guy, and these guys right here. Remember, we want to snap everything to, we'll do, let's see, we'll do this guy right here. Okay, so the form lattice point, select this lattice point and move, hold the V key and go to the farthest vertex, and now we're going to do that at the bottom in the opposite direction, and V right here. And notice how now our edges are perfectly aligned. Okay, and I'm going to go to my delete history. I'm going to bring my border edges. I'm going to see what's open. Okay, so let's start welding vertices. I'm going to select these vertices right here. Shift, right mouse button, merge vertices to center. Select these guys. Select this guys, this guys, this guys. And I believe we are almost done. All I have to do now is extrude these guys right here. Okay, so it's going to be a combination of selecting these edges, shift right mouse button, extrude edge, and I'm going to do one at a time. Okay, making sure that I snap my pivot point to this edge right here, D, V, okay, to this vertex, hit D again, and with this keep spacing on, I'm going to drag on the left hand side and do that, hit G so I can extrude again, W, okay, move the pivot point right here. Now make a small movement, V, middle mouse button, let's do this 2 more times, W, okay, D, V, so we snap it to that point right there, D to re-engage the pivot point, move it, V, middle mouse button, and we're going to do the last extrusion, right? But this time I'm going to deselect my keep spacing, because what I want to do is I want to move it, V, and when I snap it to this point at the edge is going to straighten like so. All right, let's weld these vertices. So I'm going to select this guy right here, shift right mouse button, merge vertices to center, and then I'm just going to select the other two, G, 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 and G. And let's look at our object in a 3/4 view. Okay, the last thing that we're going to have to do is put a bevel right here, because if I hit 3, okay, go to right here, let me get rid of my wireframe on the shaded, and there you have it. We've attached 2 odd shapes, right? We kept the curvature of our shaft, okay? And now all we have to do is we have to create a bevel right here. So what I can do is I can go to 1, select this edge from here, shift, double click right here, okay, and we're gonna add a bevel. And I know we're gonna get some weird shapes, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a 3rd edge in the middle. Okay, I'm gonna make the bevel a little bit bigger. Okay, I'm not worried about this at all. Okay, the only thing that worries me is that these vertices are going left and right, but I will fix that with my lattice trick. Okay, so let's hit 3. Let me go to object mode, and look at that. We have a sharp edge that resembles our reference right here. See the sharp edge versus the rounded edge? Fantastic. Let's go back to Maya. Okay, let's fix that corner, and then let's align those vertices. So I'm gonna hit 1. What I want to combine all of these guys right here to this vertex. Okay, right mouse button, vertex, select all the vertices, make sure that we don't have keep spacing on, and drag this, V, middle mouse button. Okay, they're all snapped right there. Okay, and don't worry about the alignment in this direction, right, in the Z direction, and shift, right mouse button, merge vertices to center. Now these guys we can fix with our lattice trick. Select this guy, shift select this guy and these guys, and deform lattice, right mouse button, lattice point, move V, snap that, and then do this guy right here. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing for the other guys. Notice that I'm leaving that lattice right there. I can have multiple lattices in one object because it's not on the object but it's components. Perfect. Now we're going to take care of the last group. So vertex and deform lattice, right mouse button, lattice points. And again, the lattice points is the component mode of the lattice. And there you have it. So notice that I have 3 lattices, right? Time to save and delete the history. So I'm going to go to object mode, delete history. I have 2 triangles. They're really easy to fix. Just delete the middle edge right here, hit delete. And I'm going to select these edges just to be sure. Hit Q, select all these edges right here. I'm holding Shift and Control. And what I want to do, I want to do a soft edge operation, like so. So Shift, right mouse button, soft edge, harden edge, soft edge. And if I go to object mode and I hit 3, look at the fantastic model we made with 2 types of bevel edges, a very round bevel edge and a very sharp bevel edge, just like our image reference right here. And what I'm going to do next, I'm going to extrude this top edge. So select this edge, shift double click this other edge, and I'm going to go to an extrude, W for move, and I'm going to move this edge to the top. And in our next video, what we're going to do is we are going to create these pieces right here and blend them in with the rest of our housing. Select this edges and again create another soft operation. And there you have it.